Join me while we talk with Eamon Wood about what it's like to be in a play that's both Zoomed and then performed in front of a live audience. So we're on the stage. This is literally the stage that we had our last the show, the Lost Silk Hat, and I'm with Eamon Wood, who was my co-star. No, actually, I shouldn't say co-star. He was the star, and I was the co-star.
Everybody had a very important role.
Yeah, everyone had an important role. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk to him was because we did this play in Zoom, and then we did it live. And I thought Zoom was a very difficult thing, and then live, and it's just like you really get to see sort of the differences of how it works, and also the differences in how we were performing over the last 18 months.
Have you watched the Zoom performance, or did you watch the Zoom performance before we did this? Like, did you rewatch it, I mean?
I had to. I had to rewatch it because I did the trailer.
Oh, that's right.
So
yeah.
I watched it to cut, to get the 15 seconds I wanted to use when we sent it out.
So what did you think when you watched it again, knowing that we were in 2 weeks' time going to be putting it on stage?
I thought the Zoom performance was pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I remember the Zoom performance, and I remembered it was very difficult to do. I felt very lonely, and I didn't have a lot to. I had to manufacture everything on my own when we did the Zoom performance. Even when when we were doing our scene, it's like I had to anticipate your line because I knew it was going to come late. Also, I will say that I did a lot of editing to it, like little bits, like quarter seconds here and there and there and there, because you could tell some people didn't hear it. You can actually, when you watch it, someone delivered a line and then it was like, then I heard it. So there was this lag that you could fix it, in post, so that it changed it, and then people were slower. They spoke more slowly when it was on Zoom. And we just speed that up. I mean, that little jackrabbit.
Really?
Oh yeah, I mean, it sped people up 10 to 20%.
Well, I think that's a function of everybody being on Zoom for things like work or talking to family and relatives and having to communicate. And everybody kind of realized very early on when they were using Zoom that there was that delay. So they had to make sure that somebody else was completely finished with their thought, allow it to come through, and then they could reply. Otherwise, you're trying to talk on each other, and as we all know, Zoom doesn't really mesh well for that.
Wait, no, you can't. You can't talk over it because the algorithm, whatever that algorithm is, the filter they use, pretty much makes it dead silent if there's too much noise. And so you can have 10 people talking and be like. And I guess it's sort of in the Civil War, they had these weird things where you'd be watching a battle with cannons and so forth, and it was dead silent because somehow the waves would pass over, and you would be in this place and you would not hear a sound.
Really?
Yeah. And so that Zoom probably has a different sort of
that recognizes when there's just so much,
or just crosses the computer just numbs people. And I did a few things on Zoom where someone would play music, and then Zoom got tired of the music in the background, and then would cut it out. And someone would read it. Well, I just had music in it. You can't put music when you're doing it. You have to have it as a post. You have to do it afterwards.
I didn't know that.
So you have to pretend to be dancing to music, and then you put a little undertone in it afterwards. Mm-hmm. And the way you should have done it is if we were really, is you actually film, everyone gets their own camera and films themselves, and then you cut and paste it afterwards to create it.
As opposed to what we did
with Zoom. So you would do it entirely by yourself with the audio of me, and you would say it in the camera, and then you'd send that footage to me, and I would have mine, and I would put that in, and then you just send us, hopefully you align. You may not, but you cut it and paste, and then you get a better picture and a better sound.
Sure.
So that's how they did when they had those symphonies that were, 40, they were all done individually, and then someone stacked them together to look like they were playing together.
The way that we did this, I don't know if doing it with that method would have been any more challenging, because I couldn't see anybody, right? I mean, it morphed into this thing, and I kept making, jokes about it, how it wasn't in my contract to memorize the lines and to look, off camera. For anybody that doesn't know, we had a great director, a club member, and we positioned ourselves until the director was comfortable with us looking off camera, and then told us to put a mark on the wall there or a mark on the wall there. So my character, who interacts with everybody, had to constantly shift and look at different marks on both sides. There were two on each side on the wall, so I couldn't even see people's expressions when I was performing to interact with them.
No, I had the same thing. I had you to let's see, if the computer was there, I had you at about 9:30.
Yeah,
and
but you did something very interesting. And tell me what it was.
You mean putting your picture up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a picture of you that I got off the internet, and I stacked up my boxes sort of where it'd be, and then I had you there, and I looked it straight at your eyes, and I zoomed it so that it was life size.
Oh my God!
So your head was that size.
I'd love to see that just like on your wall, like a picture of that over the camera, kind of on your wall. That was the most difficult thing for me, because we had done a great Zoom reading of a short that you did called Zoom Caesar, which was a lot of fun, and basically we just dressed up in togas and had a laugh and read this fun little bit, but we read it on the screen because we were acting essentially towards the camera, because you were effectively supposed to be on Zoom, so it all kind of worked out that way, versus and we used green screens for the Lost Silk Hat as well. And there were references, if you saw the show in person or you saw it online, like, we're talking about the drawing room, that room up there, I would point and just hope that the person was looking, that was the beauty and the difference, I think, of doing it in person, was having that interaction, but also you felt comfortable. If I was pointing here or there or out to the streets of New York, as it were, the person that I was acting against would have that reaction, like New York, and you would look, or that room up there, and the other person would look. You didn't know if that was all going down when you were doing it, looking off into to the side, kind of there.
Yeah, it's like piloting in the fog.
Exactly.
You're just saying like, okay, I hope this works out and I get there, and then the interesting part was, after it was all said and done, Jose said, because he had no idea. He said, well, Sam, you're going to edit it. And I go, of course I'm going to edit it, because that's... And then I go, gosh, I hope this works, because you really are taking something that's horribly disjointed in its concept and how it's made, and then you're putting it together. And it worked pretty well. I mean, Bill did a very nice job in sort of envisioning where things went, because he saw...
He did. He saw more than I think any of the rest of us did. I mean, it was, from what I understand, it was very well received in and of itself as a standalone product, something different that we had not done. It was the next step, at least on the Zoom kind of side of things. So that was very cool as well.